Okay, here we go. So I have been sitting for a long time with this question: what kind of ancestors are we becoming? When our son was 4 years old, my partner John and I, anxious about the trajectory of climate action, built an apartment where he would live when he would be around our age, 2050 or so. So there's the apartment, an ordinary London apartment that when you turn the corner was given up to growing food, purple oozing fogs, bubbling spirulina, all these sorts of fully working food computers, giving a sense of a really hopeful yet completely different home. And as people walked in, there was no data, there was no mention of climate change, there was nothing written about food insecurity, no models, no graphs. People walked in and made their own connections. And for nearly 100,000 people, the future stopped becoming an idea and became a memory. As opposed to this graph, line graph, also 2050, it plots a trend. It doesn't tell you the experience of living in it. And that's the thing, we have so much evidence, we have all the tools, we have all the frameworks, but the problem is that the relational complexity of what we are facing exceeds any framework's ability to capture it. And that's not the failure of the framework, that's the nature of the problem. And if you dig deeper into it, we also realize the operating systems, the vocabularies, the language we use, strategy, tactics, competitive advantage, all of this comes from warring and military. And war thinking creates war-shaped futures. So, the problem is not with the data and the models and the frameworks. There is a serious stubborn friction between intellectual alignment and civilizational momentum. And we are not going to simply think our way out of this predicament. But the thing is, good news, we have other ways, bigger ways, older ways of knowing the world, kinesthetic, sensory, embodied, relational forms of intelligence, which are also really, really powerful because we always think with our minds and our bodies, not just our minds, and we always have. And that's the work we do at Superflux. We do speculative design, poetry, myth, art, storytelling to really get people to cut through the veil of normalcy and start to make sense of abstract futures by making them tangible, embodied, and truly experiential. You can feel, breathe, step into. For instance, when you take a sample of polluted air from the future to ministers and get them to breathe it, then that tells you something that no amount of data can tell. This is not the future you want your children to inherit. The next day, they made a big announcement investing billions of dollars in renewables. We can't claim that encounter to be totally ours alone, but we know what happens is that when you have something like an embodied experience, it shifts something from a justifiable decision, it starts to become a bold decision. Or when you take people and invite them to sit at a table and dine alongside a mouse and a rat and a mushroom and a fox, then all these human constructs dissolve into what they are. They're just made up things. And so we come to the point of later we've been doing this work with policymakers where we invite the voice of the River Thames into the room of policymakers, and then the flip happens again. It is not how much technology can be, how can we extract from our rivers to power our technology, but rather how can we use our technology to serve a more than human world. Because when you start to listen to a river, you understand the fundamental, oldest system's truth. The river that runs through you runs through me. So if you are going to poison the river, you're going to poison your own blood. And once you understand that relational interconnectedness between the river and the world and all of us, then there is a real change of heart and a real change of possibility and action. Because once that shift happens and you understand that, it's a bit like, no, it's obvious. If you're not going to put your hand in the fire. You're not going to do that because you know it's clear. So we won't be trying to change our legislations and our rules because we felt the systemic change of heart. And so that's my call today to everybody, to leaders, to invite them to take justifiable, brave, bold, poetic leaps of faith and instill in all of us a collective and a systemic change of heart. Because as David Graeber has said, the ultimate hidden truth of the world is that it's something we make and could just as easily make differently. So let's not outthink our planet, but instead let's start feeling our way into the planet. Thank you.